Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be discussing Superman and Lois, Season 2, Episode 8, titled Into Oblivion. This is my review of it. If you've not seen the episode, click off now, come back after you watch it. If you're continuing watching, you enjoy, hit the like button below, hit the like button down below, subscribe if you're new, notifications on. Let's get right into the video. So it opens up with a flashback to, with John Henry Irons and Natalie talking about planning to kill their Superman, because remember, they're from another world, with Clark being evil and Lois being Natalie's mom and being married to John Henry. And it connected to Christ and Infinite Earths. It kind of went all these like different scenes, but it came up to when John Irons was in that ship and Clark was punching the ship while they're in space, and this wave of energy came in. And we had no idea what it was until now. Now we know what it was, Christ and Infinite Earths. This was the time where they were all about to be wiped out. John Irons got sent to another Earth somehow. I'm assuming probably going so fast he broke the barrier, like the portal barrier or whatever it is, or the frequency. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to explain that. They really didn't. But Nat ended up doing the same thing because she was following John to try to save him while the wave of energy was coming through, and she got sent there too. And again, it was Christ and Infinite Earths. The wave didn't look exactly like the Christ and Infinite Earths wave, but it was it was the Crisis wave. So this is the first legitimate connection to Christ and Infinite Earths, and now we know for a fact that they are in Earth Prime, and so, yeah. So, then we go to present day. John woke up from his coma. He's been up for a little while at the point in time, like a couple minutes or so. Nat is there, and he's having confusion about Lois. He thinks that Lois is his Lois. Thinks that he's Natalie's mother and all that. It's just a little bit confusing for him at the start. He got past it later on, but just from the head injury and that. Natalie's still mad at Clark for not saving him, and Clark is still blaming himself, obviously, even before Natalie even brought that up. Lana and Kyle are co-parenting, because remember, they broke up or whatever, getting a divorce. While Kyle's moving out, that was the thing that Sarah wanted, or not Sarah, Lana wanted, was the Kyle to move out, because there's no point in him being there. Again, Clark's being stuff about John. We saw that throughout a majority of the episode whenever it's related to that. Clark and Lois do a little, like, game that decided it's going to talk to the boys about the drugs. It's pretty funny. But Clark ended up having to talk to him, which he was not so excited about, but he did it anyways. Clark told the boys that the school had to forfeit all the wins the football team got because of the drugs that John was smuggling, because he was taking the drugs, he was smuggling them, and by the looks of it, he was selling them. So the principal decided to just forfeit all the wins, which obviously affected everything, because no one wants to be around John. Parents don't want him around them because of what John did. Or at least he did take the drugs, but he wasn't smuggling them. But according to everyone else, he was, because it looked like he was, to protect Candace. Protect Candace can't talk today. And John still won't tell Clark who had the drugs, and Clark is not happy about it at all. Lois ended up convincing the principal to let John do his homework online instead of going in to the school, which is so 2020, 2021, and 2022 for COVID era. But obviously this is a different thing because it's related to drugs. Which, I mean, you could definitely argue that COVID is a mess up drug. Bad joke, but you get what I mean. Anderson is telling Allie that he killed Bizarro, or at least he said he killed Kal-El. I'm assuming Allie knows that he didn't actually murder Superman. I mean, you would think that on some level she would know that, okay, there's two Supermen going around, one Superman, one's Bizarro, right? I'm assuming she knows that our Superman's still alive, but the other Superman's dead. I'm assuming that's what she meant. But, I mean, they look the same, so obviously she knows Superman is Kal-El, so, you know. Maybe you just assume that? I don't know. I'm hoping they... Well, obviously, Allie knows Superman's alive now, but, you know. I'm assuming they were talking about Bizarro, but Anderson mentioned Kal-El, which I guess he doesn't really know that his name is Bizarro. I don't think that's ever mentioned, but, you know. Either way, he's calling him Kal-El and all that. And Anderson was going to give her the pendant, and it turns out Anderson was in this mind state of being in the Bizarro world, talking to Allie, the other version of Allie, and she was speaking in the Bizarro language. Anderson woke up in Allie's apartment or whatever, where Chrissy was trying to get, or where Lois was, trying to get dirt on Lucy, or Allie to get Lucy out. In one of the past episodes, like 2 episodes ago, I think it was. It's been a little bit. It was in that apartment, and what the Bizarro version of Allie said was, "Come now." And Anderson told our Allie that. And now he said she's ready to ascend to the other world with her other followers. John thinks Clark hates him, but he's treating John that way because he's disappointed, which why wouldn't you be? I'm not a parent, but if I was, and I found out my kid, assuming I taught him well, which I would hope so, wouldn't take drugs, and I found out he's been taking drugs all this time, and he's lied endlessly, I probably wouldn't be proud with him either. So, I can understand looking at that from that point of view, where Clark's coming from, as a, you know, looking from a parent's point of view. Again, I'm not a parent, but I'm assuming one day I'll probably figure that out. Eventually, I'll probably know what that's like, hopefully. Not, but, you know. Yeah. So I get where he's coming from on that. Chrissy got a one-on-one interview with Allie and told Lois about it, about the opportunity. And Chrissy gets into a van that Allie sent to pick her up. And there were guys with hazmat suits, so obviously something's going down there. We found out it's been 1 week since the quinceañera with Sarah, where she found out about Kyle and all that, the affair. Sarah told Jordan about Aubrey, the girl she kissed at camp. Then, you know, there's a big thing between Sarah and Jordan related to that. And Sarah wanted three to hang out because she told him that she called him in to talk about the parents getting divorced because she went through the same thing. And she's trying to be friends with Aubrey again. So, you know, Jordan doesn't really want to do it, but he goes along with it just to please Sarah. Was just what he told her. Sarah told, Jordan overhears John's girlfriend, Candace, who sold the drugs, talking about selling the drugs to some guy that, he wanted more of, I think it was. That or he wanted a payment. It was one of the two. I don't remember exactly. I didn't get that part because I didn't hear it entirely. Because I've been having internet issues all day, so it glitched out right then and there. But anyways, so it was one of those two things. Anderson blames Clark for ruining his life. Everything that's happened to Anderson, he blames Clark for it. And he hates him now. Sam told Clark that he's now on temporary duty of the DOD. He's in charge of it again. And Clark wishes he's under better circumstances, but obviously, you know, it's what's got to happen. And Clark is back on the DOD's graces. One of the generals apologized for what happened. And so he's good with the DOD again. The pendant isn't at the DOD anymore because Anderson obviously has it. He gave it to Allie. Then we go to the mine where Bizarro came out. And this is where the ascension is going to happen that we found out. And Anderson's there taking out all the DOD people, clearing it out so the other group can come in and ascend to the other world. Chrissy is in a hazmat suit along with Allie and the rest of the followers that are there. Sam thinks Anderson took the pendant for leverage again. They don't know this at the point. Or Clark thinks that Anderson took the pendant. Or no, sorry. I was right the first time. Sam took the pendant to get leverage for Clark to, you know, do something with it. To get Clark to turn himself in or something like those lines. But Clark kind of put two and two together and realized that he's going to go give it to Allie. And then Lucy sent a text to Lois and Sam that were goodbye messages preparing for the Ascension. She didn't specifically say the Ascension, but they were like goodbye messages. And Clark went to go check on the house, and Lucy wasn't there. Anderson, Allie, and Chrissy and the other flowers that were there were in the mine to begin the Ascension. Sam tries to call the DOD team at the mine. Obviously, it doesn't work. None of them are there anymore. Or at least, I don't think they were killed. I just don't think they're alive either. Or not, they're unconscious at most. I don't think he killed any of them, unless I missed that part. But, and they were starting to ascend, and they were disintegrating as they were entering the portal. Like, you could see them, like, shifting and, like kind of, like, phasing in and out. And then they went more to the portal, and they just evaporated. Clark slows down time. It was a really good scene. Slows down time and took as many people as he could out. I think there were only 3 or so people there, including Allie, minus Anderson. And Clark got 2 people out. He got Chrissy, one other person out. And then Anderson took XK, took the pendant from Allie, and went into the portal. And it looked like he got through. We don't actually know. But assuming the others died, you have to think that he died, but at the same time, he took XK. So I think it's a very much so long shot that Anderson is dead. I don't think he is. I think it's fair to say he's on the Bizarro world. He's going to come back with all these other people that are going to destroy it, or, attempt to at least. So it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. And again, Clark only saved a few people, including Chrissy and Allie and, like, 1 or 2 other people there, according to the team that was on site. Sam arrived at the mine to talk to Clark. They don't know if Lucy was in the mine. They don't know if she actually died during that process, but Sam's assuming she did, because what else would there, be? Because she was so hooked into it. Nat ended up losing it on Clark, and Natalie is worried that Clark will kill John. Because obviously he looks exactly like the person that killed her mom on her world. So she gets worried every time Clark's around them that he will kill them. And Natalie then we go back to the flashback, and Natalie was stuck in between worlds after Crisis wiped everything out, or pretty much everything out, to the point where, like, she was just, like, in this darkness. There was, like, a red light shining through. I don't know what that was, but she was in between worlds, which I don't think was ever said that could be done on these shows. But I guess it's possible. I don't know how, but it's possible, I guess. So that's how we know that why Natalie wasn't there sooner. Why she didn't arrive when John did. Because she was stuck there for 6 months. And we found that out later in the episode, too. Jordan talks to John that he knows about Candace selling the drugs. And there's a whole scene there. Lucy calls Kyle to help with debate prep, since he's the only one who could actually help her out, instead of having to go through everything she wants to do to other random people. It'd just be easier to do it with Kyle instead of someone else. The only reason she called him. Allie's locked up at the DOD. Sam interrogates her. Lois is watching, and Allie pushed Sam's buttons about Lucy, saying that Sam wasn't a good father, and, everything that Sam did just pushed Lucy more into the oblivion, into the ascension process, and she wouldn't give up whether Lucy was there or not, because she wants to trick Sam into thinking she's dead, and to believe that if she could return, that, she would do something to get her out. But Sam wouldn't know that, obviously. So Sam ended up believing that Lucy was gone, is blaming himself when he's talking to Lois. Kyle pushes how Lana would handle scandals at home and scandals in the town if she couldn't even handle them in her own house. It's obviously too far for that, I think. But it's obviously a question that needed to be asked, because Lana's going to be asked on debate prep, or in the debate itself, because it's been going around town about that. But Clark and John talk about Nat, and John told Clark to not blame himself because he chose to help Clark. John chose to help Clark to stop Bizarro. He knew the risk. He didn't care. He wanted to help Clark. He knows the kind of person Clark is, and he's not going to, shame him for what the other version of him did. John thinks if Clark spends more time with Nat, that she will come around. Instead of living together, they should be living apart, just so Clark and Nat can be bonding in a way, just to get to know him better. That would be easier for Nat. Lois is digging through Lucy's apartment. Clark shows up, and Lois doesn't get how Lucy could just leave them, Sam and Lois, after what their mom did by just dropping a text. Really emotional scene. It was a good scene there. John told Candace that Jordan knows and takes her home. The guy Candace knows, again, I didn't get a name, but whatever. He took XK, and Jordan overhears John getting his butt kicked by the guy, and he shows up in a hood. Totally didn't get Oliver Queen vibes there. And everything's related to Oliver Queen in these shows, let's be real. How the entire Earth is. Earth Prime was made by Oliver, so, we have to remember that. The entire universe is made by Oliver, but at least this one. So, Jordan, shows up in the hood, like I said, protecting his identity, fights the guy with XK, stops him, tells him to run off, and saves John and Candace. And then he goes back to Smallville to sit down with Sarah and Aubrey. Clark talks to Nat. Clark gives Nat a choice. He either get to know Clark or live with him without knowing him. Obviously, Clark would do everything he can to make sure that she gets to know him. But while they're living together, it would be nearly impossible to do that because Clark's always in and out, and that wouldn't be good enough for her to get to know him that way. So it's just a matter of more space, more time, instead of living in the same house, less space, less time. So that's kind of the thing that's going on there. Clark gave Nat and John a place to live together outside the Kent farm. It was like a rundown, not really rundown, but it was a house with a repair shop and living area and all that, just so they can live in. Natalie loved it, so they're moving in there. Jordan doesn't go see Sarah because he's all beat up. His hands are all like bruised and that, and he has a couple blood on his face from the fight. Sam believed everything Allie said about him not being a good father and not being whole. Lucy appears at the Kent farm, or the Kent house. Lucy told Sam and Lois that she got out of there before they entered the portal, and Sam took Lucy home. Then we found out Kyle got his own place. John shows Nat the new home. Again, she liked it. Then we found out that Nat, I said earlier, was in hibernation for 6 months following the crisis events. And then she ended up, at the end of season 1, like we saw, and again, at the end of last season, Nat showing up on Our World at the Kent farm. Because they were following John's suit, and he had the suit on. So it tracked, if Natalie followed the suit right to the suit, and it obviously, led them there. Her there. Both of them there, pretty much. Clark knows Allie damn dependent, so he thinks that somehow, some way, it's still going around out there. He doesn't know how. Obviously, we know it's Anderson, but he doesn't entirely know that. John returns, and Clark bites his head off. Clark doesn't trust John anymore, and that's just the whole thing now, which why wouldn't it be? But then we go to Sam and Lucy in Lucy's apartment, and Sam was drinking something and Lucy drugged it. Sam passed out, and Lucy took Sam's ID card for the DOD to get Allie out of the DOD because that's the only way that she could. Obviously, they knew that Sam would be a part of the DOD because he's the next ranking person to do it. And with Anderson out, which they both knew Anderson was out because Anderson was working with Allie, and he told them that. So it was just an opening slam dunk for that to work out. So obviously we'll be getting Allie out of prison next week more than likely, or the week after. I'm pretty sure the episode's on next week. I could be wrong. So I just checked, and the episode is on next week. 209 for Superman and Lois. It was a pretty good episode, I think. Probably like a 9 out of 10. I mean, I think all these episodes are like an 8 or 9, even a 10 out of 10 for a lot of these, for the show. I mean, it really does fit the show. And therefore, it works out really, really, really well for, obviously, the show working well. Now, we did find out that Superman and Lois got a third season today. Literally today, it got renewed for the third season. And it's going... We don't know when it'll air, but we do know for a fact that it's renewed. We have to find out Flash Season 9 was renewed. Or Flash was renewed for a 9th season. So we have another whole year of these shows, thank God. And it's... I'm really excited to see where the show goes. This show is not disappointed once, and I think it's fair to say the show's really only truly going to get better as it keeps on going. So in the comments down below what you thought of the episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And why? And yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Talk about it. Sky for new. Notifications on. Speed run it like always. And we'll see you guys next week or whatever about next. Probably tomorrow for the Flash Season 8, Episode 8. Review, and I'll see you guys then, or whenever you're watching this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.